Hello again, it's your internet dad, passing on life lessons that I shared with my own sons. If you like them, become a subscriber. Today's talk is entitled 5 Rules of Thumb. These are useful pieces of information I've shared with my sons and I want to share with you. They'll be easy enough for you to memorize, and they may very well help you in situations that you find yourself in the future. Now remember, a rule of thumb is not scientific. It's just a collection of common sense that people have found works over the years. So I have 5 rules of thumb, and the first one is rules of 5. And that rule says you have a 50% chance of surviving a swim of 50 yards in 40-degree temperatures. What this means is that if you saw someone in difficulties or a boat that drifted out to sea, and we're now looking at not 6 feet away, but 50 yards away, that's half a football field, that you have a 50% chance you'll die trying to swim to the person or to that boat. So don't do it. Use your cell phone and call for help. Rule of 4. Rule of 4 says that you can survive 4 minutes without air, 4 days without water, and 4 weeks without food. Now this is not absolute, this is the average person, but it's a very useful rule of thumb. Start with the 4 weeks without food. That's the least likely to happen to you because with modern technology and a cell phone, you're unlikely to be cut away from civilization for 4 weeks. But do remember that if you are, and you're walking out, that your first week or so will be your strongest. And as the weeks pass by, you will become weaker. The 4 days without water is probably the most important and likely of the 3. And that's when you're hiking in the desert or some other area where there's a shortage of water. Always bring more water than you think and drink more water than you want. This is particularly useful on let's say a Jeep trip. You can carry extra cans of water. If you're hiking in, carry extra water bottles. The 4 minutes without air is a difficult one. Basically, if you found someone that slid under ice in the winter or partially drowned or were in difficulties, you have 4 minutes to make that person whole again. If you don't, they may very well survive another minute or so, but after 4 minutes, they'll likely have sustained permanent brain damage. So if you're in that situation trying to help somebody, work fast. Now the rule of 3s has nothing to do with your health. It's something to do with business and communication. For some reason we like the number 3, 3 musketeers, the 3 leaves of a shamrock, etc. But it's also a good idea to think that the perfect business letter is 3 paragraphs. First is the introduction, the second is the idea, and the third is the conclusion. Now I'm going to take the same idea and bring it across to a presentation that you make for business, promoting an idea or an investment or a plan. Here again, you should think in 3s. Fewer than 3 ideas or arguments seem a little underweight, but then many more than 3 can be confusing, so stick to the 3. Select your 3 best arguments and rank them. Put your very best idea as number 1, second best as number 2, and the other as number 3. Now the trick here is not to deliver them in that sequence. The trick is to take your very best argument, move it from first position to last position. Now you'll find that your second best idea will be the introduction, your third best idea will be to support it, but you'll finish up with your very best idea. People have been prepared, they know what you're doing, and if you do that, you'll probably find that you'll have greater success in your business proposals. Now the rule of two is nothing to do with your health either, except your financial health. And this is a repeat of the basic principles that I gave you in my gambling video. And that is, if the roulette wheel has come down twice red, or a flip of the coin has come down twice heads, we're looking for patterns. We may decide that it's then likely that the next roulette wheel number will be red or the next coin flip will be heads. And what you've learned if you watch my video on gambling is that it is totally random. There are no patterns. We look for them, but they don't exist. So the rule of twos is just because two things happened one after the other doesn't mean to say it's going to influence the third. Now we're back at the rule of one, and we're back at health again. The rule of one states that if you sustain a concussion in a sport that you do, whether it's football, rock climbing, field hockey, whatever, skiing, that you stop for the rest of the day, preferably for 48 hours. You've sustained a concussion. There is a high probability that if you go back into that game or you continue that sport and you injure yourself in the same place, another concussion in the same place, you have a distinct probability of permanent brain damage. So the rule of one is you're only allowed one concussion. Now those are my rules. I hope you find them useful. Do memorize them. They're easy to recall. And whatever you do, feel free to share them with friends. You never know. You could save a life. So, till next time.